Welcome to Beyond Death, where we examine near-death experiences from people that say they have died, visited the other side, and came back. Today's NDE comes from the iands archives and is from a man that states he died after being bitten by a rattlesnake when the snake bite gave him an allergic reaction, and his body didn't contain the venom to the area of the bite. He describes traveling as an orb through a tunnel towards a light with angels escorting him to a life review. Let's get into it. Although my near-death experience is the most amazing thing that has ever happened to me, it is a direct result of my own stupidity. When I graduated high school, I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life, but two things I did know I did not want to do is one, join the military. Don't get me wrong, my older brother served in Afghanistan. 3 tours, and I respect every man that has ever stood for our flag. But the military is just not for everyone, and I knew it wasn't for me. The second thing I didn't want any part of was coal mining. I'm from Alabama, where at least 50% of the guys I know work that job. While they make great money, they work a very dangerous job. In the event of an explosion, they often have to pump the mine full of foam to extinguish the fire by removing the oxygen before they even attempt to dig the men out. That didn't leave me many choices when it came to picking a job, but I had a cousin working for a company that cleared land for property owners so they could build everything from houses to shopping centers. He got me on with them. It was the start of my second week, and I was helping feed tree limbs into a chipper when I went to grab another armful. I felt the pain before I saw the rattlesnake, and yes, I know they make snake boots for protection, which I was planning on buying as soon as I got my first paycheck. The snake had caught hold of my ankle and was now dumping venom into me. I went down hard while screaming like a girl, because that's what you do when a rattlesnake gets you. I wasn't even trying to pretend to be manly at that point. One of the other workers rushed up and began swinging a machete at the snake while I prayed he didn't hit my leg. Once they got the snake killed, my boss began his version of life-saving steps of calling 911. My foot and ankle continued to swell. Now I don't know nothing about how sick a dog can get, but I do use the term sick as a dog to describe how I felt. I wouldn't wish that pain on anyone ever. By the time the ambulance arrived, I was throwing up and was struggling to breathe. I remember the paramedic loading me onto their wheeled gurney and the look on his face as they loaded me into the ambulance. His face pretty much said it all. This guy is screwed. I began to lose consciousness on the way to the hospital while the paramedic was telling me over and over, "Stay awake, stay with me, son." And then I felt and heard a pop noise and realized I was out of my body. There was no more pain. I could still see the paramedic working frantically on me, and in the distance I heard someone say, "He's crashed. Get him back. Get him back." My soul, spirit, ghost, whatever you want to call it, began to rise up straight through the top of the ambulance and into the most beautiful sky I have ever seen before or since. I felt no more pain, only an intense feeling of love remained. I continued to rise up into the sky and straight towards a tunnel. As I entered the tunnel, I saw a bright light in the distance and knew that was where I was headed. I was not alone inside this tunnel, however. I saw other souls in the shape of glowing orbs traveling through the tunnel as well. Most were going to the light, but occasionally one would pass us going the opposite direction. I first thought that could be souls bound for hell, but have since decided that those were the souls that were being returned to earth or being birthed. When I grew close to the light, a pair of angels flew up beside me and escorted me the rest of the way to the light. At the light, I had a brief moment to look around me and could not see what had become of the other orbs of light, so I asked one of the angels where they had gone and was surprised that all I had to do was think a question, and it was as good as if I had spoken it aloud. The angel replied, "This is where you receive your life review. No others may accompany you during this stage. The other souls you saw in the tunnel have their own life reviews to face." Just the angel's wording alone made me think that he meant I was at my judgment, and evidently the angel heard that thought as well, because he again replied, The only judgment you will face today comes from your own being. Next, a screen appeared. It was pretty large. I would compare it to a movie theater screen, only there were no seats and definitely no popcorn or raisinets. On the screen, I watched as my life played out. From my birth to the moment I left my body in the ambulance. It was all there. Nothing was hidden. And just as I had heard my grandmother say 1,000 times, anything done in the dark will see the light. I was embarrassed by some of it, ashamed by some of it, and if watching it wasn't enough, the angels would pause scenes and ask me about what I was thinking during some of my most poor judgment bad moments. By the time I had viewed my life, I just wanted to hide my face in shame. Then I realized that the same feeling of intense love I had encountered when I first left my body was still there. The screen disappeared, and the light remained to bathe me in an indescribable love, unlike any I had ever experienced. Just then another angel entered the room, walked directly to me and asked, "What brings you here?" The question was so sterile, so formal, that I really didn't know how to answer it. I glanced towards the first two angels and stated, "They did," to which the third angel began laughing. "No, I mean, how did you come to leave your body?" "Oh, snake bitten," I replied while feeling just a tad on the slow side for not understanding the angel's initial question. "And did you learn not to play with serpents?" the angel asked. "I wasn't playing with." "Oh, you're joking." The angel laughed again and then told me, "Relax, we will be sending you back soon." "I don't want to go back," I replied. "I just want to stay in the light." As soon as I said this, the three angels began to speak amongst themselves. I could tell they were communicating, but somehow I had been removed from the conversation. How rude, I thought, and at once they all stopped and looked at me again. After what seemed like forever, the head angel spoke to me again. "I will show you the reason you are being sent back so that you may understand why you are needed on earth. If after I showed you, you still wish to stay here, we will allow it. I cannot, however, allow you to retain the knowledge if you return to your body on earth, as it will affect your future and would remove your ability to have free will." At this point, I can only assume I was shown something because I next recall telling the angels I would return to my body. No sooner had I said those words than I awoke in the hospital. My boss and my cousin were brought in from the waiting room to see me. The doctor also came in to tell me how lucky I was. I had indeed flatlined in the ambulance due to an allergic reaction to the venom that didn't allow my body to contain it, but the paramedic was able to get me back, and the hospital had anti-venom on stock for many of the local venomous snakes. I would be in some pain, but that was to be expected. The next day, my boss gave me a brand new pair of snake boots. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this near-death experience. Until next time, stay blessed.